I've heard of something called a defective trust. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, so there's a tool in our toolbox called the Intentionally Defective Grantor Trust, which is by far the worst name I've ever heard for a trust, because every client says, tell me what's defective about this document that you're creating. The reason it's defective is because it's defective for income tax purposes, but effective for estate and gift tax purposes. Why would folks want to do that? There's a term called a grantor trust, and a grantor trust basically attributes all of the income inside of that trust to the person who created it, the grantor. All of that income is going to show up on that grantor's tax return, effectively making the trust disregarded. That's beneficial for two main reasons. First, you can sell assets to it. You can sell assets to this defective grantor trust, and there's no income tax consequence to the grantor because it's disregarded. You're effectively selling assets to yourself. One of the first rules is they have to put some seed money into the trust. And kind of the unwritten rule is 10% cash. So if you're going to sell an asset worth $10 million to the trust, there needs to be at least $1 million of cash in the trust. That $1 million cash gift into the trust is a true gift. The assets, usually highly appreciating assets, ideally, would then be sold on a promissory note where the trust then pays the seller, grantor, on that note over time at a really small interest rate. And when the assets are appreciating at a much higher rate than that low interest rate on that promissory note, there's a real benefit to the trust beneficiaries, and you're allowing the trust to grow at a rate that greatly exceeds what it would have. First of all, you're freezing the value of that asset in the eyes of the seller, right, the grantor, because it's now a promissory note, and then you're allowing it to grow at a much higher rate than that interest rate on that note. Second, you can have income that is reportable to you and paid by you, even though you don't receive it. Sounds like a really bad deal. It's actually a really good deal, at least from the perspective of the trust beneficiary, because the grantor is paying the tax on that trust, which is depleting the grantor's taxable net worth, taxable estate, and allowing the trust to grow completely income tax free on a going forward basis.